What's up, everybody? I'm DJ Avelanche from the Beat Refinery here in Portland and Hillsborough area. All right, today we're going to talk about scratch techniques. One of the things I want to make sure to point out is I know everyone likes to get right into scratching. They think that DJing is all about scratching. Well, it's not. DJing is about creating emotions and getting people into a certain vibe and a feeling where they really are enjoying everything that's going on. Scratching is what we call a nuance. That means a very small part of what we're really trying to do. It's a little excitement. Sometimes it's the ability to get yourself prepared to bring in the next song. So the scratch technique is something that is used as a nuance, and it's preparing you for what's about to come in next, okay? It's allowing us the opportunity to kind of get our timing down and bring in the next record. Sometimes we want to add a little flair, add a little spice on it or whatever, and that's what we do. But for the most part, it is a nuance, a small little part. So whatever you do not overdo it. So when you're scratching, there are three things you typically want to scratch. One is a vocal. There's a classic vocal that we have right now that is used all the time. It's the ah sound. I'm gonna play that for you right now. You'll hear that a lot. You'll hear a lot of people scratch that. That's very, very popular. It's very easy, great sound. It cuts through all the clutter, okay? So a vocal is one. You can use different types of vocals. It can be somebody saying, you know, drop that beat. It could be somebody being like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You can scratch that. You can scratch songs like pump up the volume, pump up the volume. There's a lot of different things you can scratch. Make sure that you pick a really good quality vocal if you're going to do it, one that stands out enough to cut over top of a song that has a lot going on. So typically you want to make sure to pick a really good song. I picked one right now from my man Tech 9. I'm going to play that for you now. Good vibe to it. I want to pick a song that's not too fast. You don't want to do a techno song. You don't want to pick something that's too slow, something that's got a good vibe to it. This is definitely one of those ones that's got a good vibe to it. So pick a good song like this. Now, when you pick a good song with a good tempo, again, you want to make sure you pick something that will be able to cut through over top of that song. So let's listen to this song, and I'm going to play the ah sound real quick. You'll be able to hear it very clearly. See that? So that's what you want. You want something that will be able to be heard very easily over top of that beat. Now, the other two things that you can try scratching is a bass drum sound or a snare drum sound. Now I'm going to grab this beat that I was just playing for you, and here's a bass drum sound. That's a bass drum sound. Okay? So you can scratch that, and you'll hear that in a lot of songs. That sounds good. So you want something like that. Even if you have another song that is a strong song with a lot of activity, this will be able to be heard over top of that. Now, that's on the one. Most bass drums in most songs is on the 1 and on the 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, in between there, what you heard was a clap or a snare sound. Those are the other things that you can scratch. That's the number 3 thing that you want to scratch. And here's that clap, scratch sound, clap, snare sound right now. Right there. Hear that? That makes it easy to be able to scratch as well. Okay? So again, you want to be able to use a vocal sound, or you can use a bass drum, or you can use a snare. Okay, those are your 3 things that you want to use when you're scratching. You can pick different ones. Most other things like hi-hats or cowbells or anything like that are just weird. They don't sound good when you scratch them, okay? So those are 3 things that you usually want to pick from. A vocal sample that's strong enough to be able to be heard, a bass drum, or a snare drum. Again, your bass drum is typically on the 1 and the 3, 1 and the 3, and then your snare drum is usually on the 2 and the 4. All right, so I went ahead and switched the camera for you so you can be able to see exactly what I've got going on here. I've got our setup with the mixer and the 2 turntables. You don't really need to see this right side over here. It's really not necessary because it's strictly just gonna play the beat. The first techniques I wanna show you guys is to make yourself a visual marker. With that visual marker, a lot of people back in the days would put tape on and they would actually angle it towards the needle, or they would angle it at 12 o'clock. This is 12 o'clock for us. I tend to use 12 o'clock as my marker. And since I don't put tape on there, I use the Serato label pointing straight at 12 o'clock. That lets me know as a visual marker exactly when I get that vinyl to that point, I'm gonna hear this. Okay? And it also lets me know where to pull this sample back to be able to start over. Okay? So you wanna make sure that your label points either at 12 o'clock or over here at 2 o'clock, right at your needle, so that you know when that label hits the needle, you're gonna hear that vocal sample. Now, when you get ready to put your hand on, like we talked about, we wanna predominantly use our middle finger. You put that on at 9 o'clock. This is 12, this right here is 9 o'clock. So make sure to put that middle finger on 9 o'clock, gently placing the other 3 fingers on the vinyl as well. That gives you a little bit better control, but it's not too stiff. The majority of what you're actually using as far as pressure should be off of this middle finger. Now, without a beat, I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick little scratch, something simple that we call a baby scratch. Okay, that's a baby scratch. Now, as you can see, my hand goes from 9 o'clock no further than 12. That's actually going too far. Most of my scratches should be between 9 and 11. Anything over that, you're gonna end up hitting the needle, and we don't wanna do that. So now, we've got our hand placement at 9 o'clock. Majority of the pressure is on that middle finger. The other finger is lightly resting on there. When you pull that sample back, you don't want to come way back here, okay? Your sample starts right there. The most you want to come back is about 8 o'clock. The furthest up you want to go, definitely no more than 12, but typically between 8 and 11. That's your scratch space typically, all right? So I'm gonna give you an example of the baby scratch. Keep that middle finger on the vinyl. Don't lift it, do anything crazy. See how I did that? What you wanna do is control that vinyl. Don't just let it go and then try to figure it out, okay? Make sure that you are controlling the vinyl. Hand at 9 o'clock, middle finger with the majority of the pressure, move it forward, move it back, okay? That's how you usually do it, all right? That's without using a crossfader. If you were to use a crossfader, open it up a little bit to be able to allow the sound to play, and then once you let it play, close it so we can't hear the backwards part of it, okay? All right? Now, you can practice it without the fader. Then you can start to learn to use the fader. Okay? Those are some of the basic techniques that we use. What you want to do is you want to start your beat and make sure that you're scratching on beat. So we're going to go ahead and start the beat, and then we're going to do a quick little baby scratch on top of that just to give you an idea. Simply just keep that fader open and just go back and forth just to get your practice in. All right, here we go. Now again, as you get better, you'll be able to open and close the fader and then figure out what sounds right. But start off with your hand at 9 o'clock, going back and forth from 11 to 8, no more than 11 to 8. All right? Make sure you're utilizing that pressure on the middle finger the most, and then the other hands are simply guiding it, going back and forth. Practice with the baby scratch first without using the fader. Back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Then start to try to use the fader. Forward, close it, pull it back. Open it up, forward, close it, pull it back. Okay? Those are some of your basic scratch techniques. Try those out, and then we'll pick it up on the next video with maybe doing a couple other things. All right? I'm DJ Avelanche.